Okay, so in this part of the chapter, we're going to be talking about different ways of representing data. One way is a frequency table, and that basically has tally marks to display frequencies of events, right? So the number of people who play basketball, you tally it up, and it's 15, and so on. A second way is a bar graph, and it compares categories of data with bars representing the frequencies. So basically, it's these frequencies that would be represented in the bar graph, okay? So like we talked about here, there were 15 people who were playing basketball, right? So here you have basketball. This axis, right, has the number of students that are playing it, and then you can see, there are 15 people. So the thing about a bar graph is each of these bars is, separated by a tiny space in between, okay? Notice you've got a label here, and you've got a label there, right? So the axes are labeled, and then the chart itself is labeled. A histogram is a type of bar graph, right? So very, very similar to a bar graph. However, when you do the bars for the histogram, you don't have any gaps in between. You have to make the bars stick to each other. All right, so take a look here. You have music and frequency, and we want to make a histogram of this. Okay, and later on we'll talk about how to make it so that there are equal intervals. All right, so we have the type of music in this chart and the frequency, and we're going to label this as music, and the frequency meaning number of students. Okay, and we have, different type of music. Make sure that when you divide this up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure that when you divide this up, they are equally spaced, right? So let me go in the center here, and then center, and then center, right? So this is how we're going to split up the axis over there. This is going to be country music, hip hop, metal, rock. Okay, and then we have the number of students here. So look at the number here. It ranges, from 13 to 32. So you want to, calibrate this so that it takes, you have space for all of them. So maybe if we go by tens, this is 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, right? You have to make sure it doesn't go over, right? It doesn't go outside of the grid. And you also have to make sure that, it's like, nice and pretty. Okay, so how many people like country music? 13. So this is about where 13 is. Okay. How many people like hip hop? 35. So that's about here, halfway, right? Do you see how, like you have to make this stick here? So that's 35. And then how many people for metal? 20. And lastly, how many people for rock? That's 32. Okay, so that's how that looks. All right, so that's a histogram. Here's another one. The table shows the ages of volunteers in an animal shelter. Make a histogram of the frequencies. All right, so again, the number of volunteers is going to go here. And we have the ages here. All right, so this time we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divisions. So I want to make sure that we divide this into 5 equal parts. Okay? And what are the ages? We've got 16 to 25, 26 to 35, 36 to 45, 46 to 55, 56 to 65. Okay, notice in each of these, right, 16 to 25, so if you count 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, there are 10 numbers, right? And 26 to 35, there are 10 numbers. 36 to 35, there are 10 numbers. They have to be equal like that. And also notice there are no gaps in between. So this includes everybody up to 25, and then this starts at 26, so there is no gap. So there is no overlap. Okay, so how many people are there between the ages of 16 to 25? Okay, so it's 6. So how are we going to calibrate this? We're going, up to 12, right? So maybe we can go by 4s here, 4, 8, 12, 16. Okay. We could have also gone up by, 3s and so on. Okay, so this is 0. All right, so 6 people from 16 to 25. So that's here, halfway. Yay. 26 to 35, I have 4. 36 to 45, I have 9. 46 to 55, there are 12. And 56 to 65, there are 8. Okay. All right, let's make this prettier. Okay. All right, so that's a histogram. Another way to represent data is a line graph. And this usually shows how data will change over a period of time. All right, so take a look here. Sales at Marshall High School store are shown in the table. Make a line graph of the data. Okay, so we have to look at how the data is organized. It looks like it's going by months, September, October, November, all the way to May. So on this axis here, we're going to put in the months. Okay, and this first one here is going to be September, October. Let me write that neater. Okay, presentation, it's all about presentation, right? You have to make these nice and neat. September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and May. Okay, and on the vertical axis, we have the sales, right? So let's see what the ranges of the data are. It looks like we're going from about 168 to 670, right? So that's what we want to do. Why don't we go up by hundreds, right? So 100, 200, 300, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. All right. So in September, there was 670. So here. In October, there was 229. In November, 300. December, 168. January, 290. February, okay, so 290 has to be a little bit lower than the 300 here. February, there was 388. I know it's hard when the, grid lines aren't shown. March, there is about 412. So what you can also do is if you have a ruler, you can sort of put your ruler here at the 400 mark. And then at March, go up and do 412, right? And then April, 309. And then May, 198. Okay? All right. So, okay. Right now what we have is not a line graph, because guess what? There is no line. All you have are dots here. You have to connect the dots, right? And it's going to be jagged like this. That's fine. All right? Okay? So you have to connect the dots. All right. Moving along. Another way is a stem and leaf plot. And I know a lot of these are things that you've seen before. So a stem and leaf plot looks like this. The digits of the least value. So for example, let's talk about value places, right? Place values. You have the ones, the tens, the hundreds, and so on. So the digits of the least value, right? So if it's the ones and whatever, are the leaves, and the rest of the digits are the stems. So in here, these all go up to the tens place. So the ones place, because those are the lower ones, are going to be the leaves, and the tens place are going to be the stems. Okay, so the way you're going to do it is look at your data. You've got some stuff in the 30s and the 40s, 50s, 70s, 60s, right? And that's how you want to arrange it. So first you want to look at all of the ones in the 30s. Okay, so let's see, that's 32, 35, 36, 35, 32, 35. These are all the ones in the 30s. So what we do is we put the 3 here because that's the tens, and then you want to arrange the ones in increasing order, right? So I've got 2 2s, right? A 32, right? 3 5s, and a 6. Okay, next up, let's do the 40s. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oh, lots of 40s, 8, 9. Okay, so we're going to put a 4 here. And then let's see what we have. We have a couple of zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Okay, I have a 2, I have a 3, I have 2 5s, and an 8. Right? So do you see how I'm also working so that, look at all my numbers, like they're all aligned, right? Across the columns. Make sure you do it that way. Organization is super, super important when you're organizing data. Get it? Haha. Okay, let's do the 50s. 1, 2, 3 50s. Okay, and they're all 50s. So 5, 0, 0, 0. And then the 6s, I have just this one, a 61, and then I have a 70, 7, and a 0. Okay, so that's a stem and leaf plot. Okay, so another way to organize the data. How pretty is that? That's awesome. Okay, next, a circle graph. You have seen this one as well, I'm positive. This shows the relationship between parts of the data and the whole, all right? So how do you organize your entire time after school? Well, I do, 25% of my time is taken up on social media, 79% of my time is taken up by homework, and so on, right? So it compares bits to the entire time that you are at home. Okay, so take a look at this one. This is a table on how Lily spent 8 hours of a single day at summer camp. And we want to make a circle graph, right? So remember, we have to compare the bits to the whole. So we have canoeing, crafts, eating, hiking, right? These are all the things that Lily spent time on. Well, how many hours does this make in total? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So that's what you want to do first. Total 8 hours. Okay, so that means if she spent 3 hours on canoeing, that's 3/8, which is 37.5%. 1/8 is 12.5% for crafts. 2/8, that's a quarter, 25%, and 25% here. So you want to divide the circle according to these ratios, right? So, okay, so if you have like 25, 33, 55, 50%, those are the easiest ones to do. Start by putting the center on your graph, and then, okay, so if I want to do like 25 and 25, let's see, let's make the diameter here. Okay, so if I want to do it in the same order as is in the chart, I'm going to start like top right. It really doesn't, I'm going to start at the top left. It really doesn't matter where you start. So here I'll divvy up, 25% and 25%. That's for eating and hiking. And then up here, the rest of the 50%, it's divided into 37.5 and 12.5, right? So 12.5 is half of the quarter, right? So, so I kind of use that to eyeball so that it's, a little bit to scale. So here we had crafts and then canoeing, right? And you can see how this gives a very good pictorial representation of how this person spent their time, okay? All right. Last but not least, we have a box and whisker plot, or a box plot for short. This basically is a graphical representation of the 5-number summary. Okay, we're all experts at the 5-number summary right now, so let's take a look at how we do this. So to draw a box and whisker plot, first you have to come up with the 5-number summary. So let's arrange this data in order. It's annoying, isn't it, when the data isn't given to you in order? I know. So the thing is, so in the real world, there's rarely, this few points in a data set. I mean, it's usually in the thousands or the millions, right? Because you're talking about like surveys and such. And those are done by spreadsheets, obviously. But we can't do that without knowing how to do it, manually. And so for that, we work with a few numbers, but you have to know how to do it manually so that how to manipulate that other data. Okay, so here we go. Where is the median here? It's this one. This is Q2. So that would make this Q1. That would make this Q3. And then, of course, we've got min. And we've got max. Yay.